Hey there, and welcome to Zurich International Airport for another trip report. Today, I'm flying Edelweiss Air on one of their Airbus A340-300s from Zurich to Montreal in their Economy Max cabin. I've just arrived in Zurich off of a Swiss International Airlines flight from Copenhagen, and I only have a 1-hour transfer time here in Zurich before my next flight, so I'm on the move to my next gate. Zurich Airport has 3 airside piers known as Terminals A, B, and E, which are all linked to a central airside building called the Airside Center. Adjacent to the Airside Center is another complex called the Airport Center, which houses the airline check-in counters, a shopping mall, and ground transport connections. All departing passengers access the same departure level of the Airside Center via airport security, and from there they're segregated between flights for Schengen and non-Schengen destinations, with passport control for those passengers heading to non-Schengen areas. Terminal A, where my flight from Copenhagen arrived, is used exclusively for Schengen flights, and my next flight departs from Terminal E, which is used exclusively for non-Schengen flights. Following signs for Terminal E, this terminal is actually a satellite building that's connected to the other terminals by an automated underground people mover called the Sky Metro. Before hopping on the Sky Metro, I cleared exit EU passport control first, which took just over 5 minutes, and then headed down to board the train. The travel time between the Airside Center and Terminal E is only 3 minutes, with departures every 3 minutes as well. Arriving at Gate E42 at 12:05 p.m., boarding was due to get underway 15 minutes ago, but there's no action here as of yet. Passengers are queued up in front of the gate to have their passports verified prior to boarding, so I hopped in line to do the same. There's a good amount of seating at the gate, with rows of seats adjacent to the massive floor-to-ceiling windows that give you great views out onto the apron. After completing the passport verification, Edelweiss starts their boarding process for families with young children and those who need extra time to get on board. They then begin boarding by assigned group number, starting with Group 1 for Han Circle members, Group 2 for Business Class, Senators, and Star Alliance Gold members, and then continuing with Groups 3 through 6 for Economy Class passengers. Checking out the aircraft taking us to Montreal today, we'll be on board this 20-year-old Airbus A340-300 that was first delivered to Swiss International Airlines in December 2003, and was then transferred to Edelweiss in September 2016. Edelweiss operates 5 A340-300s as their only long-haul aircraft, using them to serve vacation destinations in the Americas, Africa, and Asia. These aircraft are becoming more of a rarity every day as they age, and Edelweiss have already announced plans to replace them with newer Airbus A350-900s starting in 2025. Edelweiss is the sister airline of Swiss International Airlines, with a focus on leisure and charter routes out of Zurich. This Zurich to Montreal route is typically operated by Swiss, but has been subbed out to Edelweiss for the busy summer 2023 season. The configuration of these A340s is somewhat unusual, with a 3-cabin configuration starting with 76 extra legroom Economy Max seats at the front, followed by 27 lie-flat business class seats, and then 211 economy class seats to the rear. Stepping on board and turning left from the entry door, we find ourselves in the relatively small and intimate Economy Max cabin. This cabin has 10 rows with seats in a 2-4-2 configuration, the same configuration that you'll find back in economy class. I'm booked in seat 8K for this flight, which is a window seat on the right side of the plane. The seats have a blue fabric back and base, and a large height-adjustable headrest at the top with folding sides for additional support. The Economy Max seats are pretty much identical to those that you'll find in economy class, with the only key differences being additional legroom and greater recline. Economy Max seats have an additional 2 inches of recline compared to the standard economy class seats on board, which makes it super comfortable for sleeping. When it comes to legroom, there's tons of storage space under the seat for my large backpack and an extra 5 inches of legroom compared to the standard economy class seats on board, which at my height of 5'10" leaves lots of extra room for my knees. This isn't quite premium economy, as the food offering is the same as economy class and the seat is quite similar. But this is certainly a very elevated type of preferred seating for economy passengers, with an exclusive cabin, more space, and free alcohol, which isn't complimentary in economy class. And to boot, for a 20-year-old plane, this cabin is actually super modern and refreshed feeling, with large touchscreen entertainment systems at every seat. I'm really impressed with how well they've maintained it over the years. The fee to select these seats starts at 129 Swiss franc or 175 Canadian, depending on the route, which is not an insignificant chunk of change. Aside from the storage under the seat, there's also plenty of space in the overhead bins, which line both sides of each aisle. Settling into the seat, let's take a look at what was provided when we boarded. We have a pillow, a blanket, and complimentary earbuds were handed out before pushback from the gate for use with the entertainment system. Taking a closer look at the seat, every seat in both economy class and economy max is equipped with an 11-inch touchscreen entertainment system. The screen is tilt adjustable for different viewing angles, and on the bottom edge you'll find a USB-A charging port and the headphone port for the entertainment system audio. Below the screen, there's a literature pocket which holds the safety information card for the Airbus A340-300, an air sickness bag, the Edelweiss in-flight magazine, and the in-flight shopping magazine. Below the literature pouch, there's a bifold tray table which folds out and is mounted on rails such that it can slide outwards further. On the bottom of the seat back in front, we have another pocket for storing your own items, with a couple different pouches for separating things. There are also coat hooks on the sides of the seat back near the top. On the overhead panel above the seat, we have personal reading lights and the attendant call button, but unfortunately, no adjustable air vents.
Zusammen mit der Gesamtbesatzung haben wir gesagt, dass wir genügen Sie nach Montréal zu fliegen. Wir sind in einigen Minuten bereit, müssen noch die Beladungspapiere erhalten. Safety on board. Your hand luggage must be placed in the overhead bins or under the seat in front of you. It is forbidden to place.
Starting up 30 minutes behind schedule, our expected flight time to Montreal today is 7 hours and 30 minutes.
Cabin crew departure in 1 minute.
Shortly after takeoff, the crew handed out water bottles and the captain gave an update on our flight routing for today with some of the landmarks along the way.
Short information concerning our flight today to Montreal. We have reached our first cruising altitude of 34,000 feet. That's approximately 10,400 meters over the sea. We just passed the city of Frankfurt. We have a beautiful view on your left-hand side. We'll continue now towards the Netherlands. We will fly there.
Enjoying the view of those classic A340 engines, let's take a deeper look at the in-flight entertainment system before lunch is served. Getting into the system, despite the screen looking brand new, the actual system interface feels quite dated. In terms of the content available, we have movies, TV shows, music, audiobooks, and podcasts. Within each entertainment category, the content is grouped by genre or various other themes, and there's a search feature to look for specific titles. The range of content is pretty decent, with over 90 movie titles and 170 TV series. There's also a games section, a kids content section, and an information section about Edelweiss and their service offerings. The touchscreen sensitivity of the system is decently good, and it responds quite well to commands. There's of course the quintessential moving map, which is crazy retro looking despite being a brand new screen. They obviously haven't updated the actual user interface of these systems in quite some time. The map cycles through all languages and doesn't really have any different viewing options, but it does display facts about different cities along the route. Back on the main screen, down in the bottom right corner, we have controls for the overhead reading light, attendant call system, volume, and a general settings menu for brightness and language control. About 40 minutes after departure, the crew began the lunch service. For the main course, there were two options, either saffron risotto with chicken and tomato sauce, or a pasta dish. The service was cut off before reaching my row as we hit a rather bumpy area, resuming another 45 minutes later. Finally reaching my row about 1 hour and 30 minutes after takeoff, I opted for the chicken as my main course and a Diet Coke to go with it. Alcohol is complimentary for Economy Max passengers with the exception of champagne. The tray was served with an appetizer of a coleslaw-type salad, a bread roll and butter, a slice of cheese, and the main event. And for dessert, we have a caramel mousse. The cutlery packet provided with the tray consisted of real metal cutlery and a serviette. Digging in, the chicken and risotto were delicious and I was really impressed. The bread roll, on the other hand, was dry and stale, but the mousse to finish off the meal was quite tasty. Cruising over Scotland, the meal trays were collected about 30 minutes after they were distributed, and another drink service was offered at the same time. This time, I opted for a tea with lemon and settled in for the remaining 5.5 hours. Getting up to explore the cabin a bit, there are 7 lavatories on board, with 4 for economy class, 2 between economy max and business class, and 1 dedicated for economy max, which is located at the very front of the aircraft in the galley area. Stepping inside, it's small and outdated feeling, but clean and equipped with some nice soaps. Back at my seat, I've got my laptop out to get some work done. There's tons of space to use a large laptop in these extra legroom seats, but it's unfortunate that there are no AC power outlets for charging on this long-haul flight. There also isn't any Wi-Fi available on board either. While I was working, at about the 3.5 hour mark into the flight, the cabin crew announced that the duty-free shopping service would pass through shortly, with the items available detailed in the magazine provided at the seat. Shortly after that service, the cabin lights were dimmed, with another 4 hours to go. The cabin crew passed through with a water service with about 2.5 hours remaining in the flight, and before long, we had reached land again and were cruising over eastern Canada. With 75 minutes to go before landing, the crew brought through the second food service of the flight, which consisted of a light snack. On offer was a hot quiche and a Mövenpick ice cream, provided with another beverage. The quiche was tasty, as was the ice cream unsurprisingly. On the whole, I've been really impressed by the food offered on this flight, especially given that Edelweiss is supposedly marketed as a leisure, low-cost version of Swiss International Airlines. In the last 30 minutes of the flight, the cabin crew offered a chocolate to each passenger as we began our descent from Montreal's Pierre Elliott Trudeau International Airport.
Dear passengers, your pilot speaking. In a few minutes we will start our descent towards Montreal. We just reached the region of Quebec now. It's slightly cloudy sky with some thunderstorm around us. We will fly around them. That's the reason also for the light turbulence actually. I expect the landing in approximately 40 minutes from now, a little bit depending on the arrival at the point traffic in Montreal. Let's match it forward to just a few miles in the right direction.
Mami, wat dan zo? Ik ga vast best uitsparen.
Ja, echt.
Herzlich willkommen in Montreal, meine Damen und Herren. Wir bitten Sie angeschnallt sitzen zu bleiben, bis wir unsere endgültige Parkposition erreicht haben und das Anschnallzeichen ausgeschaltet ist. Öffnen Sie die Gepäckablagen bitte vorsichtig, um das Herunterfallen von Handgepäck zu vermeiden.
Thank you.
Stepping off the plane, my next stop is Canadian Passport Control, and then baggage claim to collect my checked luggage. Walking down the arrivals hallway, there are electronic signs indicating the approximate wait time at Passport Control, which right now is showing 30 to 45 minutes. Thankfully, this estimate was pretty far off as the immigration hall was empty, and I was through in under 5 minutes. Thanks for joining me for this trip report with Edelweiss Air, and I hope you enjoyed it. Now for my thoughts on the experience overall, these Airbus A340-300s are a retro experience, but in a modern and comfortable cabin. The Economy Max seats in particular offer tons of legroom in a more private setting, with a marginally more special feel than standard economy class. The onboard food and service were stellar, and I was really happy with the soft product overall. However, the burning question, does it justify the nearly $200 Canadian price tag? To be honest, this is really just economy with a little more space. If you're super tall and would really value the extra room, then it might make more sense for you, but $200 for an extra 5 inches is a hefty price to pay.